TikTok has plenty of videos to show you how to make money. But where do you even start? You don't. I'm going to be trying them so you don't have to. My goal is to make $1,200 by the end of this video, or I have to eat a ghost pepper. And I don't want to do that. Okay, this TikTok says you can make up to $600 an hour typing 11,000 words with Text Broker. And apparently you can use text to speech, which makes it a lot quicker. So let's try it. I started by signing up and entered all of my information. This landed me on a wait list that took so long. But I was finally in, and I'll tell you now, she was heavily overestimating. On the work page, I'd sit there for long periods of time with absolutely nothing coming in. Because there's so many people picking up these jobs, you have to snag them right away or they're gone. Otherwise, you're just filling in jobs for 50 cents per job. But I sat there for 8 hours trying to snag jobs, and I got some pretty decent ones. And 8 hours later, I was finally done. And at the end of the 8 hours, I had officially made $37.50. The following few jobs, I made $73.48, which put me at a total of $110.98. That's pretty good. However, that's pretty average for a normal workday. And unfortunately, I still have a little under $1,100 to go before I don't have to eat that ghost pepper. I'm gonna die. This person claims you can make $5,000 to $10,000 a month with affiliate marketing. She shows us the ClickBank, a place where you can find products to promote. They have a bunch of different stuff that you can do. So I made an account and I filled out the information I needed to. Once I did that, I got to thinking, well, what would I want to sell as an affiliate marketer? Well, I found a really cool product for training your pet. I have a dog, although she's kind of stupid. So I decided to go through and set up a TikTok focused around animal and absolutely grinded it. Eventually, I started racking in some nice views. However, I still wasn't seeing any sales after days. So I decided to check and see if people were purchasing my product. I hadn't had a single sale. What if I never got a sale? Days and days of farming the content, but I still wasn't getting any money. So I checked to see if people were clicking the pinned comments or my bio, but they weren't. After all, TikTok has a pretty low click-through rate to begin with, but I was pretty surprised. I still hadn't had a single sale. I'm sure you could definitely earn some decent money. However, I definitely didn't do that. So you'd probably have to be a marketing god for this to go anywhere. So this TikTok claims you can make up to $700 additionally each week with different kinds of virtual assistance work. So I went to peopleperhour.com and I decided to sign up and check everything out. I used to be a video editor and still edit occasionally, so I have some pretty beefy work under my belt. So it was pretty easy to get a job. And once I did that, I started working. But here's the beauty of this kind of work. Depending on your expertise, you can actually make way more than the original $700 a week per post. For example, I myself could charge up to $400 to $500 a single video, and imagine if I did 2 to 3 of those a week. That would be some pretty good money, right? But it is heavily reliant on your ability to produce. Clients will often request things that you might not be able to do as a beginner. So if you have the skills, you can definitely make a mind-boggling amount of money. Speaking of which, I just finished an order and I made $97.23 after fees. That took me 6 hours to do. But I have one more client order to fill, so let's do that. There are plenty of things that people need that don't really take skill. You can find jobs for all kinds of stuff. I made $210.38 in 2 days, but I only spent 6 hours each day working, which means 12 hours puts me at $210.38. So 12 hours for $210.38 puts me at about $17.53 an hour. That's pretty good. This TikTok claims you can make $100 an hour just by typing. So I signed up for the site rev.com that he showed in the video. When I started working for them, I realized that it wasn't what it seemed. It's not necessarily difficult, but from the start, it's going to be very slow. Even on the homepage, it says you can make like $1.50 a minute, but that's for each minute you transcribe, not each minute you work. I filled out some videos and did some jobs. On average, you can make $10 to $15 per job, but the likelihood of you making $100 an hour is very, very low. Granted, if you type really fast, you could make some decent money, but you're likely going to need to be extremely skilled at this for it to work. Rob here says you can make $150 in 45 minutes by doing user interviews. I was astounded by this, so I looked into it. He says to go onto Google and look up userinterviews.com. Once I was there, I made an account, signed up, filled out all the information, and I was on my way. It was pretty simple, but I had to take a quick test to be able to start. After it was finished, I went ahead and looked at some jobs. Rob showed us some pretty expensive jobs. However, when I was looking, I wasn't seeing anywhere near that. The most I was seeing personally was up to $60 an hour, and some of them were even worse, but I did find one for $100 an hour. However, it was only 1 hour of work. Rob showed us up to $250 an hour, but the one I found was $60 an hour for 2 hours of work. I spent an hour looking and eventually chose one for $100 an hour. However, it was only 1 hour of work. Although it was only 1 hour, that's pretty damn good for 1 hour of work. I filled everything out, applied for an interview, and I waited. Almost 2 weeks later, they finally got back to me, but here's the problem. The online review was a one-on-one, and a lot of the things they were asking was about their products or services, meaning majority of these jobs, you have to have played whatever they had, whether it be a game or if it was a product, you had to have purchased it or used it. The one I was specifically doing was Tower Fantasy. They asked me a bunch of different questions about their company and my overall experience with them. I've tried Tower Fantasy in the past and it was pretty fun, so, you know, I told them that obviously. They asked me different questions of how I liked the UI in the game, different things like that. The interviewer eventually closed off and I made my money. However, it took a few days, plus they deducted fees. But another problem arrived. I could not find another job as good as that one. Most of the jobs paid for multiple hours, so you were still making at least $100 and something, but definitely not $100 an hour. So this one is false by Rob standards, but you still make some really, really good money, so I'd heavily recommend it. What if I told you you can make a bunch of money in bed? You definitely say yes, right? Well, I can do just that. While watching this TikTok, I found something called Fabric.io, or Fabricio. Anyways, you can watch a bunch of different ads and stuff to make money. And they even have a sign-up bonus. If you watch up to a certain amount, you can make an additional $50 when they send you their bank card. So unfortunately, you will have to be at least 18 to do this, but hey, free money. So I started watching ads. The minimum amount you could withdraw was 5,000 cash coin, which is equivalent to I think about $30. I'm still a little unsure of how much that is exactly worth, but with the bonus, I made $67.13 in the first few hours. Without the bonus, in 3 hours, I made $17.13, which is completely awful. Probably the least amount I made. If it weren't for that startup amount, I probably wouldn't be making anything. Overall, not a bad thing to do if you have some time to kill. You could do these while you're doing other stuff. The only problem though is you have to fill out a small survey after each one that gives you extra cash coin if you complete it and do it correctly. It also gave you extra cash coin if you tweeted out or reviewed it. So while this is pretty convenient, I don't recommend doing this full time. However, as far as ad watching services go, this is probably the highest paying one I found. I did notice though, after some time, I wasn't able to watch any more ads and I had to wait till the following day to watch more. But when I did, I was noticing I was earning a little bit more per each ad and it was starting to stack up. In 3 hours, I made $26.50 in cash coin. Eventually, I got really efficient and minimized downtime so that I could keep earning more cash coin to make more money. The next morning, I checked to see if I could watch more ads and I was able to. So I watched more ads, took a break, tweeted out to Twitter, watched more ads, and took another break. And eventually, I ran out of watchable ads again. And in 2 days, I made $97.56, including the additional card, which was $50. While that might not be a lot of money, that's pretty damn good for something with watching ads. You almost never see that. I definitely was not expecting to make this much just by watching videos. Brave is a web browser that isn't super popular, but I found something while browsing TikTok. It comes with some pretty cool perks, and one of those perks is you can watch ads for crypto. Although again, watching ads is not ideal, you can make some pretty cool side cash if you just watch them on the side. The only problem, however, is that Brave makes you watch ads as you use their browser. So it's some kind of scheme to keep you on their browser. You can go through and set how many ads per hour you can watch, and you can set the maximum to about, I think, like 20. And as I normally don't use Brave, I didn't want to do this, but I tried it anyways, and it turns out you don't make a whole lot, but you make decent money. But unless you're using Brave all the time, you probably aren't making a lot of money, which is extremely inconvenient. While that might not be a problem to most people, it is to me because I don't usually use Brave. My browser has a lot of features that I use for work, so I prefer not to use Brave. And after about 4 hours of watching ads and using the browser, I earned about $13, which is not the best. However, I could see this being useful if you are under 18 because you have to buy crypto in other forms over the age of 18 oftentimes. People who are under 18 often struggle to buy crypto, so this is pretty cool for people who can. Even after days of this, I didn't make much in an hour. I decided to drop it and leave it for later. But when I came back, some ads were actually paying pretty well. Although if we're being real here, they were probably mining crypto on my computer. And I ended up making $50 in crypto, which is pretty cool. But when you actually think about it, we have yet to make $1,200. Not to mention, we only have 2 money hacks left to try. One of those being one from Mark Tilbury. He's just a Spotify, which when you normally think of Spotify, you don't think money-making method, right? There are hundreds of thousands of upcoming artists on Spotify. After all, the goal of Spotify is to make streams. So what could you do to make money off of this? What if you made a playlist that went viral and you were getting plenty of streams for different artists on that playlist? A lot of upcoming artists would want on that playlist, right? You can monetize this and get people to pay you, and in return they get streams, and if they see themselves getting more streams, you get more money. So the strat here is to set up a Spotify playlist and get it some attention, because once you do that, it's getting plenty of streams and people would pay to get on that list. You can even charge more for putting them higher up on that list. But there was a problem. How would I get people to actually listen to this playlist? Well, in order to get people to listen to it, it would have to get some attention. So I did just that. I created a playlist based on extremely underrated music. The goal of this playlist was to show people new music just in case they don't know what to listen to. I threw a lot of hyperpop and acoustic hyperpop on this playlist so that I would have a general niche of people who would want to listen to this. I created several articulated pieces of content to throw on the platform. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever seen those TikToks about cool wallpapers you should try? Well, that was the vibe I was going with. I would show underrated songs that most people wouldn't know and try to get them to listen to it. And better yet, I can make this a series, so if one person watches a part, say for example part 7, they're bound to go back and check out others if they liked that one, which would create something known as session watch time. And on TikTok, one of the biggest things is targeting trends and AVD, which is average view duration, or how long somebody watches. So if somebody watches your TikTok all the way through and goes through and watches another one, it boosts the algorithm, which is what we want because then we get more views. More attention equals more attention on the Spotify playlist. And in return, we could reach out to artists with that playlist, be like, hey, do you want streams? Well, then here you go. But this came with a lot of work. I would have to edit a bunch of songs and a bunch of different things to keep it interesting, because if it's a boring ass song or a boring ass edit, nobody's gonna want to listen. So I got on my computer, opened Adobe Premiere Pro, and I got to work. Another strategy to get people to watch this more or to promote the TikTok even better was to put funny memes or super abrupt endings at the end to get people to replay it, which in return would increase the AVD. ID. And once I did this, I would continue to promote this Spotify playlist in the pinned comments and in the bio. Eventually, this playlist was getting some pretty good attention. So I figured, hey, why not reach out to some artists? So I did. I took to Twitter, Instagram, and a few other platforms, and I DM'd a bunch of creators. I was offering $15 to get on the playlist and $25 to stay in the first 25 songs. So I reached out to some creators and some other artists, and we figured things out. Eventually, I had about 10 to 15 people on the playlist. Some might charge more than others, but at the end of the day, it's not that funny. At the end of the day, we were making some good money. After about a week of this, I had made $150, which isn't bad, but I was starting to hit a wall. A lot of the creators I was reaching out to weren't responding, and the ones that did, I already had on the playlist. On the bright side, the artists that actually landed on the playlist were getting a lot more streams, so they wanted more. And this in turn helped them recommend more artists to help them get on. And eventually, I was making some really decent money. After about a week, I made $270. Now, this is a startup, so it does take some work. However, I could see you making up to $2,000, $3,000 a month just off this alone. My problem was I spent it all on advertising. But again, you can make a lot of money from this, I'm sure. Good news for you. I found a bonus method that actually pays quite well, surprisingly well. I found this while browsing YouTube from a creator called Mr. Rice. Or Reese. He showed us that you can earn an extremely large amount with CPA grips. Apparently, not a lot of users use some platforms with different languages. So he showed us you can use Google Translate to get through this and make a lot of money. On CPA grips, people would put in a lot of offers for up to $28 for so much as putting in an email. The strategy here was to create that in other countries where they normally pay more. The reason they pay more is because almost no one uses it. So if they incentivize it much higher, people are more likely to hop on. And that's what we did. Now, if you've ever seen those ads that are like, click now for $500 PayPal, click now for $750 Amazon gift card. That's what this was. And I realized not a lot of these were actually scams. Some of them were real and they were just trying to get your email to put you on a mailing list, which could be alarming, but that's why if you've ever seen people who actually do these, they get all those spam ads for $500 PayPal, you get free money. Woo woo. This is why it pays so well. Companies will take those emails, scrape through, and add them to mailing lists from other companies, and they make money from that. So essentially, they're paying you to pay themselves to pay other people, I think. So you can use CPA to get these promotion links, and then you could pay an advertising site that guarantees you an amount of clicks in order to make some good money. So say, for example, we selected one with $25 just for putting in your email, and it guarantees you 1,000 clicks. You could make a lot of money from that. However, let's say just for an example, you're only guaranteed 10% of the people to input their email. Well, you would probably still make about $2,800. Mr. Reese tells us this in the video. So I signed up for CPA grips and I started browsing. After some time, I browsed through all the commission links and I found one I liked. However, a lot of the ones that I was finding were over $20, but they looked very, very fishy. So I chose one that was a little bit lower and I got to work. So I verified my email and created an ad link, and I used the advertising service that he showed in the video. I paid for some basic advertising and eventually I started seeing some money come in. The next day I woke up, got some coffee, and then got on my computer. And I made $280.56 in one day, which is crazy. So I kept working on it. And even in the chat, I was seeing people making $200,000 a year off of this. That is crazy. But keep in mind, this probably means you're promoting some weird stuff. And in turn, you will probably get suspicious people coming to you for advertisement. I don't know how dignified you might be, but personally, I didn't like this. So I tried it out, and then after I stopped. So I personally don't recommend this, but it's good money. And here's the beauty of it. I made that much in one day. So as punishment, I bought ghost peppers from Amazon, and I have to eat these. Just in case. We got bread because I don't want to drink milk. I am shaking right now. Can you see that? I'm terrified. All right, we got the gloves. Man, I'm struggling to get this on. If I feel like I'm going to throw up, I'm not going to continue. Just the fumes from this is probably going to make me sick.
I'm all for hot food, but that...
Oh, shit. Look how dry that is. I'm terrified. Oh, sweet mother of God. The more you chew it, the worse it gets. Look at me, I'm crying. Oh, I'm gonna try one more bite. Oh, I swallowed the last part, and now my entire throat from here back burns so bad.
Don't throw up.
I'm trying not to. Alright, I think I'm done. I don't know if I can do this without throwing up. Alright, habanero pepper successfully eaten. I'm trying to talk through it. Thankfully, we made what we were expecting to, just a little bit under. I'm still crying. Jesus Christ. We have completely finished all of the methods, and we've made some pretty good money. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if this video gets 1,000 likes, I will make a part 2.